Hi, I'm Allan. Welcome to Conversations with Allan. In our last conversation, I shared the 5 things that I evaluate in any brokerage model. Today I want to go deeper on the first one, compensation. And I'd like to start with a confession. For most of my career, I evaluated compensation exactly the same way that most agents do. I looked at splits, I looked at caps, and I looked at fees. And I genuinely believed I was asking the right questions. Eventually, I realized I wasn't. The turning point came when I started asking myself a different question. Not what am I earning, but rather, what am I building? Because those are not the same question, and they don't lead to the same place. Before I got into real estate, I spent 15 years in finance. And one of the first things finance teaches you is that income and asset creation are not the same thing. Cash flow matters. Income matters. But ultimately, what changes your financial future isn't what you earn. It's what you keep, what you own, what appreciates, and what continues to benefit you long after the original effort was made. So when I moved into real estate, something surprised me. In all the conversations I had about compensation, and there were many, almost no one used the word ownership. Most discussions stopped at the next transaction, the next commission, the next split, the next cap. Very few people were asking the question that finance had trained me to ask first. What happens to 10 years of effort? After 35 years in this business, I've seen a great many successful agents. Some built remarkable incomes. Some built remarkable wealth. And here's what I learned. Those are not always the same people. I've watched agents sell homes for 20 years and have very little to show for it, beyond the income they earned and spent along the way. Talented people, hardworking people, people who did everything the business asked of them. I've also watched agents build something where their effort created value that continued to benefit them long after the work was done. The difference between those two groups wasn't talent, it wasn't work ethic, and it wasn't intelligence. It was structure. The model they built inside determined whether their decades of effort became income that came and went, or something that lasted. That realization changed how I now evaluate compensation. Today, I still care about splits. I still care about caps, and I still care about fees. Those things are real and they matter, but they are no longer the first question I ask. The first question I ask now is this: does this model give me the opportunity to build something beyond my next transaction? Does growth create leverage? Does success create additional opportunity? Does the model reward me only for what I produce today, or does it create the possibility of benefiting from what I build over time? Those are fundamentally different compensation models, and they produce fundamentally different lives. The longer I've been in this business, the less interested I become in maximizing a single transaction, and the more interested I've become in understanding the economics of the entire model. Because eventually you realize something that's easy to miss when you're focused on the next deal. A slightly better split doesn't necessarily create a better future. Compensation matters. It should, and I'm not suggesting otherwise. But in my experience, the most successful professionals eventually learn to evaluate more than income. They evaluate ownership, opportunity, leverage, and what their effort actually produces over the long run. That's the lens finance gave me. And it's the lens I can't unsee when I look at any brokerage model now. In our next conversation, I want to move to the second area I evaluate, and that's professional development. Because once you understand what you're building, the next question becomes whether your environment is actually helping you become the kind of professional capable of building it. That's where we'll go next. I'm Allan. I'll see you in the next conversation.